everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. January has got its boots on, is ready to go. It's like nobody's even talking about the new year anymore. New year, it's been 2023 forever. Who even remembers 2022?
I typed 22 into a file name this very morning.
Apparently, when I put up the upcoming for the week before, I just put all 2022 years, and I have gone back and since edited those.
So you're saying I can still say Happy New Year to you? Is what you're saying?
No, we're done.
We're going back and doing it over.
Do it again. Take it again.
Didn't take.
Who's the guy who remembers? Werther's remembers. Who remembers? Orville Redenbacher remembers. The candy?
Sorry.
Who's the candy?
Yes, Orville Redenbacher remembers everything you have done.
What's
thinking of Wilford Brimley?
No. The thing where it's like, remember when things used to be easier? Remember when life was just candy and something was a nickel? Like somebody... All right, listen.
Are we that now? Are we those guys?
What?
Do we remember when candy was a nickel? Are we the one telling the children, oh, you don't know how good we used to have it?
Remember when games used to be $49.99?
Vaguely.
Alex remembers.
Yes, I do, because I had to go buy a bunch of those $49.99 games for GameSpot when I was reviewing them.
Games are still $49.99. It's just they're the games that used to be $19.99.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. $19.99. Hell of a year. Folks, we're going to have a hell of a show today. Hell of a year, hell of a show. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about some games. We're going to talk about some news. We're going to talk about my jumping into Signalis. We've got some updates on some games that we have been playing. I like to call it the old catch-up. Catch-up. Like Case of the Golden Idol, Vampire Survivors, all that stuff. And then we're going to get into the news.
I will not be talking about Dota this week.
No? Okay, let me delete
Unless
that.
you want me to, but my default posture is enough Dota.
Have you played Dota?
Yes.
Okay.
Dota remembers.
I've continued.
How do you guys not know that? You guys know all the internet memes. You don't know that?
Dude, I literally Googled Werther's remembers after you said that, and I can't find anything.
Oh, it's not Werther's
sure?
then. No, it's somebody else remembers. ... How do you Google like star space remembers? How do you must have remembers and a candy? What's the... Brad, write me a Python script I can search for this.
Nope. Let's see. Okay. John Candy remembered his children share new...
No, John Candy, no.
No? That's all I got for you.
Somebody remembers meme. It's a meme. So it'll be... You just add meme to the end.
Oh, it's a meme. Okay.
Yeah. It's a meme.
Memes.
Forget it. My kids were asking me about memes. I'm like, you guys know more than I do at this point. And it's funny to see the memes trickle down now from my son, who's 2 years, who's 10, to my daughter's grade. And then she's like, he enjoys them and just repeats them, and she gets sick and tired of them. She's like, ugh, everybody's just running around.
I mean, if you were to ask me what is the modern older sibling, younger sibling dynamic, is it just the older sibling repeating memes over and over again? I would believe that.
And also
annoying the younger child.
Isn't being extremely over whatever's popular in the mainstream a core component of gothiness as well?
Also, it's Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I didn't even... Okay, Yes, that is absolutely a thing.
Okay, wait, is it a... Now I can't tell.
What do they remember? What does Pepperidge Farm know about me? And when did they know it?
Is this just a Family Guy joke or not? Is this just a Family Guy joke?
Dude, I think this is a Family Guy joke.
This might just be a Family Guy joke.
That's the worst possible outcome.
It might just be a Family Guy joke. Listen, there were Family Guy bits that I enjoyed at the time for Family Guy. Apparently this one got stuck in my head.
I see people on my Twitter feed talk about Family Guy, and I can't tell if they like it ironically or not.
I never liked an episode of Family Guy past the first season. That was the only season I really watched with any regularity, and I thought that had something, but after that, I just totally lost it.
It had a kind of a miss ratio for me that wasn't there, like
yeah. I think my problem is that I just don't think it's that funny.
Yeah, I think for me, I never watched it regularly. There were bits I saw that I was like, that's pretty funny. But then it seemed like it always ran the course a little bit. You know, like, oh, okay, this is very similar to the other thing you just did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not quite oblongs, but it's it's you know, it's up there.
That's for all the Ramblecast heads out there. You know, you get it catching the hot references we're making.
Like these Family Guy references.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the hottest show in the world.
Vinny remembers. Anyway, you're listening to the Nextlander podcast. If you're under 35 or 40, I apologize.
If you're under 35 and you're listening to this podcast, God bless you.
You're just doing laps around. You're
bless
listening to
your heart.
3 old men get lost in the the woods.
Get lost in the meme woods.
With one flashlight being like, it's over here somewhere.
I'm trying to leave a trail of Family Guy jokes behind me so I can find my way out.
Somebody can find me. Are there memes anymore, or is it too rapid at this point? Like, are we in a post meme society where it goes so fast that it's not even it's like a meme doesn't even have time to circulate before it's iterated and evolved, right? It's like a super
accurate.
virus.
There are still memes. It's just the source of where those memes tend to come from has changed a lot. I feel like a lot of it is like TikTok driven now.
Yeah, but my feel like maybe I'm more than 10 seconds behind everything. I feel like by the time I even see a thing, I'm on the 50th iteration of it. Like
the thing has mutated to such a degree that it does not resemble the thing that it originally started out as. Yeah,
and it seems like within 2 days, you know, like within a day or two, there's like a meme generator within 5 minutes of something going up, where some of my, again, old man on the internet, but some of my favorite things are when I'm scrolling on social media, the memes used to say you're stealing a meme. That is like, wow, is this the Ouroboros of memes that you're using a meme to say I'm stealing your meme now?
At this point, it's safe to treat every meme that crops up and the way that stuff goes as just imagine a bunch of jackals devouring an antelope carcass. Like anytime a meme crops up, it's just like rah, and then gone. There's just a skeleton left behind.
What would you write in impact font underneath that GIF of the jackals devouring an elephant carcass?
My
Tuesday?
face when I see a new meme. I don't know. That's probably pretty fucking old too. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't pretend to be anything other than a guy who is definitely out of touch with what youth culture likes.
My friends when the Dominoes gets here.
That's some real 2009 memeing, my friend.
Politics are all like rawr. What else you got? Keep going. We can make this work.
Tying this one off.
It's the pre-orders.
You know what's great for our brand? Highlighting how deeply out of touch we are with things.
Hey, I'm just not going to say anything.
It's hard. It's hard out there.
I know.
I got the, gosh, it's been so long I can't even remember the name of it. The Panix console, finally. The one.
Oh, you got a Playdate.
I got my Playdate finally. Oh, yeah, cool. Wave 875 just shipped.
So did your season just start?
I've got 2 games on it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. The surfing one and the kind of RPG-ish picture-taking one.
Yes, those are the 2.
And I think maybe, was it every week you get a new game or every month?
It's definitely not every month. Is it every week or every 2 weeks? I think it's every week.
I should check back. I got it a couple of days ago, so I should see if anything unlocked.
Cool.
What do you think of it so far?
You know, I feel a little late to the party. Is how I feel. Like
I guess I can see it.
Like I saw how long it was like a year ago we did
It's been a while.
It was like summer last year, I think.
Stream. I could find out.
So I haven't hooked it up to sideload anything onto it from the website. So I should do that. I have not done that yet. So that's where
last April.
Last April.
Yeah, that would be the way to feel kind of up to date, or like you're keeping up with the conversation. I don't see a lot of conversation actively about the Playdate out there, but I'm sure it's still happening. But yeah, like going hit itch or somewhere and find like a bunch of new user-made games, and not even games. There's other stuff. You know, there's like that Flipnote Studio viewer.
Yeah.
From the DS to the Playdate. Just, go find a bunch of cool shit like that and sideload it on there, and then you'll feel like,
So I showed, my wife was like, my son had his friends over. The crew was over. And they were on that Switch, like a bunch of hyenas on a elephant carcass. You know, they're all playing, and I got it, and I had it, and my wife's like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, you know." She's like, I was like, Transmit? She's like, of course. And like, hey, the guys, the Panic, the people who made.
Man, but nothing marks us more as old internet professionals than Transmit being
Transmit, right?
Transmit is the reference point for Panic for all of us.
I think she might still use Transmit. I don't know.
Transmit's a fine piece of software. Don't get me wrong.
It's just the use of FTP programs has like dropped off a bit.
I mean, the use of FTP for that matter.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're still uploading stuff to your server, and she does, she's FTPing all the time. She's transmitting all the time. Anyway, she was like, "Oh, that's cool. You should go show the kids and their friends." And I was like, "They're gonna laugh at me. they're gonna laugh at me for this little console with this little crank on the side. I don't feel comfortable showing them this console." So I did not.
See, I can tell you.
Yes.
The newest Playdate game on itch.io was uploaded yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's a neat little thing. I think the screen is tough to see unless you're under really good lighting conditions. That's my problem with it. Under too harsh a light or in too dark, it gets kind of harsh to see or tough to see.
There's a game called The King's Dungeon, which is self-described as a tiny Metroidvania or Microvania.
Microvania. Yes. I like it. I'm going
to play this Microvania.
Is yours charged? Is it ready to go?
I keep it charged because I use it as a desk clock.
Oh, that's cool.
It stands up nicely on that. You know, the sides, the edges are very flat, so it stands nicely. And I think it's that teenage engineering. You know, it's got nice industrial design. I'm kind of with you. It's depending on the lighting, it's a little hard to see the screen sometimes.
A little hard to see.
But it sleeps with a clock on its face, so it kind of makes a nice little desk clock when you're not playing it.
Therefore, it is useful tech.
I'm happy to have it. Will I use it a bunch? Cool, probably not, but it can go with the rest of my... I bought this, and then it took a long time, and then I forgot about it, and then when it showed up, I was like, oh, right, I bought this.
You can go install the SDK and go through some of the source code for different games and nod sagely like, oh, that's how they're doing it, huh? And then pretend you're going to learn Lua. And
is that what everything's made in, Lua?
You can write games in Lua or in C for it, but obviously Lua is going to be way easier.
Okay. All right. Well,
but for what it's worth, like they do make it very easy to install the SDK and like use the little desktop emulator and like run games on that and sideload them on there and stuff. It's like a neat way to dabble with like a somewhat simplified like game creation toolkit SDK if you just want to see how that stuff's put together. Like
one analog controller and two buttons and a D-pad. It's just I don't know. It seemed neat. I have it now, and that's my story about the Playdate.
On a similar note, I have had my finger over the button to buy a Steam Deck multiple times in the last week, and I keep thinking about it, and I'm like this close to doing it.
Do it.
Should I just do it?
Just do it. I've been thinking about it a little bit, but not maybe as much as you have.
The thing that has stopped me is this like nagging sensation in the back of my brain that they are gonna do some kind of hardware revision like within months of me buying it.
I don't think so. I mean I think it's inevitable eventually, but that could easily be 2 years away, 3 years away.
If I can get a couple of years of use at it before they upgrade, that's fantastic. I have no issue with that. I just have like this weird feeling that's like, oh, they're just gonna do it as soon as I do it, aren't they?
I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think you're safe.
Okay, Brad Shoemaker said officially, I'm safe. That's great. All right.
Here's my 2 cents. Maybe this will push you over the edge. You're probably always going to have a beefy enough desktop where you're not just going to start using the Steam Deck to play your games. And if it feels like it's not doing its job, just stream the games over to your Stream Deck at home. I don't think it's going to be a portable system for you, right? It's not going to be
it's going to be a couch system.
Right. So like if you're at home, just stream them from the your beefy PC if you feel like it's not performing well.
Yeah, fair enough.
That is a good point because there's even with a newer version, there's still going to be a class of games you couldn't play at full detail or full speed on that thing. Like looking at the specs for the minimum requirements for Spoken, for example. I don't think you're going to have a great experience with that game on a Steam Deck. So there would already be games you would want to stream from your PC anyway. So
there are some hard limitations in terms of what I would be willing to even try to play on that thing regardless. And I feel like most of the games I would want to play are the kinds that are absolutely available and work well on that thing.
For the most part, I've heard extremely positive things about folks who have gotten a Stream Deck. So battery life aside, that seems to be the one thing people generally say, yeah,
hey,
it's kind of what you'd expect it to be.
Where I sit on the couch is right next to a power strip, so
yeah, right. Yep.
I can probably make this work. All right, you've convinced me. I'm going to fucking do it.
Does the Steam Deck have an HDMI out?
It has some kind of...
No, it has USB-C.
Okay, that's what I thought. It had some kind of out.
They sell a dock for it, but you can plug it into any standard USB-C dock that has video out.
So there you go. Take it, stick it in a dock, and hook it up to your TV, and then you're playing your PC games on your TV, like you had some kind of really expensive Steam Link. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a Steam Link. I've never used it, and I don't really know what to do with it. And I feel like this is something I would actually use.
I'm still caught on trying to enjoy Moonlight on the Steam Link.
Yeah, I was all set to finally dust my Steam Link off and hook it up until I saw that NVIDIA was killing the stuff that makes Moonlight go.
I mean, there's that alternative for it. But
once that stuff is solidified, I'll give it a shot. But
the way it works is not maybe what I was expecting. And it's the NVIDIA side of it versus the Moonlight. I guess NVIDIA only scans for games that have it has a config for. Is that right?
I think that
might be the case. I don't know.
And so you have to manually add games that are not. And I thought it was just going to pull my whole library. And so it's worked for some stuff for sure. I also have to figure out I should be able to go higher than like 50 megabits per second over my network, right? For a stream. For streaming
wired, yeah, definitely.
Wired, yeah.
Wired, absolutely.
It's saying it's choking on it. So I've got to check something out. What's the bottleneck here?
You just got to open up those cables a little bit, man. You just got to make sure that you're getting maximum bandwidth out of those.
Might be time to replace the Switch I've had since like 2002, which is feeding my consoles and everything. Maybe that thing is...
might actually help.
Is it that old?
It's probably like 2008 or 10. I mean, it's a gigabit Switch, so
if it's a gigabit Switch,
that's what I thought. It's a gigabit Switch, so but maybe it's just something in it's dying.
But also, that's the thing is, if you've been using it for a long time, like there's always the chance that some of the electronics might be, less effective than they used to be.
Sometimes I have to unplug it and plug it back in, and it figures itself out. I don't know. All right, let's get into the games here.
All right, yeah, games. Starting with, all right, this is the last Playdate game I'm going to mention.
Okay.
Relevant to our interests. It's called LizardSpock.
LizardSpock.
That's a great name.
This is a simple rock, paper, scissors LizardSpock game with fun and unique graphics.
Okay. That's it.
I can tell you from the screenshots, okay, I mean, you know the relative powers of rock, paper, and scissors.
I do.
Apparently, lizard poisons Spock.
Okay.
Scissors decapitate lizard.
We know that, yes.
I don't know what Spock's powers are.
Well, if it's anything like Star Trek, it's all of them.
They don't detail what Spock does to what, and I might need to know.
Spock nerve pinches scissors.
Let's see. Okay, so lizard poisons Spock, so Spock can't. Lizard poisons Spock. I found footage of this game.
Okay.
See if I can give you some more. Rock crushes lizard. What does Spock do?
Tell you, man, everything.
Paper disproves Spock.
Okay. You're going to have to play to find out. We're going to have to come back.
Wow. They very intentionally do not put any footage of Spock winning in this trailer. I'm gonna have to get this game.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about one game here. I want to check in quickly here before we take a break. I'm going to talk a little bit about Signalis because it's a game that I've been trying to play through a bunch. I thought I was going to get through it before today's show, but I did not. Came out late last year in October.
Tail end of last year, yeah.
Yeah. It's on Game Pass. It's $20. It's kind of on everything. I like it a lot. The inventory, it's a survival horror game. And I like it. I like the story it's telling. I knew this going in. The inventory stuff, it's a pretty limited inventory, 6 slots, I think it is. So you have to be careful, and I knew that going in, so I always try to run with at least 2 open slots in my inventory between the gun, the ammunition, a healing item, and sometimes you get a key, it fills up pretty quickly. Oh, you get a key, there's a combine. It's very Resident Evil, so that you can combine stuff sometimes. So sometimes you'll have 2 items and they're going to combine into one. You can't drop an item without destroying it. Yeah. So if you're running around and you're like, oh, there's a healing item there, or at least I have not found a way to drop an item without destroying it. If there's a healing item there, I just want to put this ammo down for a second, heal, and then pick the ammo back up. So you do have to, if you walk into a room, sometimes I will methodically look and see if I can parse out the items before I pick them up and be like, all right, let me pick up this healing item first, heal, then I'll go pick up the ammunition and all that stuff.
Not being able to drop without destroying is like quietly one of the most irksome mechanics I can think of, actually.
Yeah,
can we do away with that as an industry, please?
Again, I would like that.
Maybe it's in there. I'm not seeing it in the menus. I mostly just see destroy. A lot of backtracking, at least where I'm at. A lot of running back through levels. A lot of limited ammunition. So, the mechanic that I don't enjoy in it the most is Resident Evil style. Some of the baddies will get back up after you have killed them, but only later, not immediately.
Interesting. Okay, I was gonna say you gotta watch for the blood to spread underneath them to know that they're dead.
I'm trying to look for the tell. They might jitter a bit or something. I'm not sure. But you can get a thing like Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil 1 had this, that you can like burn them to Resident Evil had like a lighter or something, right? You could use to burn the corpses of the zombies. Is that right? Am I making that up?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, maybe I thought he had that. Maybe it was in one of the remakes of Resident Evil. Anyway, it has a mechanic like that.
Now I'm doubting myself.
Okay, it could have been. The most recent Resident Evil 1 I played was the remake they made, so maybe they added that to it.
That's possible. I am seeing references to that mechanic specifically in that remake.
Okay.
I don't remember that being in the first one.
It's possible it's not.
It's been a while, let's say.
So they have that, but I don't want to waste an inventory slot on that. So I just, maybe you're supposed to, but I do just run around the bad guys most of the time. Unless I'm trapped in a corner.
Now you're playing Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I do think that game definitely like incentivizes you toward like, yes, deal with them the first time you see them, but if you don't have to fight them again, don't.
Yeah. So it winds up with me in a room. If there are a lot of baddies, I will go to a corner, kind of make a lot of noise or get their attention, and then they all start moving towards that corner and then run to the opposite corner and run around. Because there's a lot of backtracking. So if anybody's curious, I am now underground. That's about as spoiler free as I'm going to keep it, or that I'm spoiler-ish as I'm going to go. I'm now underground, and I thought maybe I was wrapping it up, but maybe there is a lot more. But Brad, if you're interested, if you like survival horror games and like things called owl keys and hummingbird key and fire key, then I've got a game for you. It's called Signalis.
If I had realized you were playing that, I totally would have picked it up for this week. I was looking through like Steam new releases and stuff, trying to find anything new and interesting, and didn't come up with much. But I had completely forgotten that game exists. But it absolutely looks like my thing. Is it tank controls?
Is it tank controls? No, it's direct control. Though I think you can change that if you want.
Who would elect to use tank controls if they didn't have to?
I'm using
some people
direct
love that
controls,
shit, man.
Yeah. Man,
they're sickos for that stuff.
Having played some of Blade for the PlayStation 1 on Monday, which occasionally drops to tank controls out of nowhere.
It also does it very badly, from what I can tell.
It was not great.
Yeah, it's neat. I think you should give it a shot. I think things pick up a little bit. It's a little bit of a slower start, but things pick up. I'm enjoying trying to figure out what the story is in the game. It's told intentionally obtusely, let's say. So, Alex, did you ever want to play it anymore? You played it first.
I played some after we did that stream. Yeah, I didn't get super deep into it. I do like the vibes of that game a lot and kind of the minimalist storytelling they're doing. But I think my aversion to survival horror mechanics made that one a little tougher road for me to hoe.
Yeah, it's again, the enemies kind of popping up once they're down, seemingly randomly, and also they have enemies that will just crawl out of the ground sometimes, it seems, like out of the floor panels.
Yeah.
Seems a little cheap when you have limited ammunition. But it's not really bothering me that much.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of what that game is doing is really interesting. I think it is operating in a genre that is not as much my wheelhouse. But as far as like a more interesting indie modern take on that kind of game, I feel like it has a lot going for it.
And I like the look, that like PlayStation.
Oh, I love the look of it.
Yeah, that PlayStation look. All right, that's Signalis. That came out end of last year, near the end in October on Game Pass again, or just $20. You can go check it out. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have a few more games we've been catching up with, so stay tuned. This week's show is brought to you by Factor. Brad Shoemaker, Alex Navarro. Happy New Year.
Vinny.
Happy New Year. Happy
Thank
New Year,
you.
Brad.
Wait, hang on.
Yes?
Like 11 days in now. I don't know.
We're getting close.
This is more like Happy Valentine's Day territory to me.
Well, the good thing for you, Brad, is that Factor can also be a fantastic Valentine's Day game.
Oh.
Yes.
Dinner for two?
Let's say maybe dinner for two. Factor. The way you can save time and have the energy you need to tackle things like a Valentine's Day, a special preparing of a special day if you're into that sort of thing. With Factor, you not only skip the trip, I like that phrasing, to the grocery store, but you can skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up. No matter what your lifestyle, Factor has the meals to help you live it to the fullest. They've got keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, protein plus meals, and more. Prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, each meal has all the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long. Each meal is prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, so you know that your Factor meal has all of the ingredients you want and nothing you don't. So, if you're looking to mix it up, you can add what you want to your meal. So if you get that vegan and veggie meal, but are like, I would like to add a protein, Factor has got your back. Get Factor and enjoy the meals you like. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. To do it, head to factor75.com/Nextlander60. Use code Nextlander60 to get 60% off your first box. That's code Nextlander60 at factor75.com/Nextlander60 to get 60% off your first box. Thanks, Factor. And we're back. And we got a little roundup here of some other stuff. Brad, have you played any more Case of the Golden Idol?
Yeah, I'm still slowly making my way through it.
I did start that up as well.
Oh, you did?
I did start it,
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I didn't get too much past.
Faring?
I've only done like the first few chapters.
Okay.
But I will say that I am having an easier time getting into this one than I did something like Oberdin.
Oh, okay.
This one's pretty approachable.
It's very approachable, and it's not. I mean, at least in the early goings, it's not too many things to try and juggle and figure out. And I think something about the presentation of here is these 2D menus to look at and figuring out that stuff as opposed to wandering around a 3D space and trying to figure out things is just working better for my brain.
I have to say, as I get deeper into it, I am impressed / like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? A little surprised at how much they expect you to infer in some cases, and particularly where they are using very intentional misdirection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't expect the game to try to trick me, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but there are spots where they very much lead you toward one conclusion on the surface that is absolutely not right. And you really have to think in some cases to, like, pick apart kind of the information you've got to get to the answers that you need. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
There are some spots where the actual answers are extremely subtle, and you really have to infer a lot to get there.
I mean, I was getting tricked even by some of those early basic ones because my investigative brain is always like, this is most obvious outcome. This must be it. It's not always that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I want to give an example, but it's hard without just kind of spoiling the puzzle that I have in mind. But like,
well, there's the one that we did on the stream where it looks like a guy probably fell off a ladder reaching for a book, but that's not necessarily the case. But
yeah, that's a good.
The setup looks like
yes.
There's this ladder. Here's this corpse. here's this book, and
Sure.
it's like, oh, sure, yeah, that's, and until you kind of peer a little bit into the details.
Have you considered horse?
Yeah. Or like the one I'm thinking about is like, there's every appearance that the character that a character here was in this scene for the duration of this whole evening, but to realize that they may have like slipped out for a brief moment, you have to really stare at some details. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about without just, I don't want to spoil the puzzle for anybody. But it's a little frustrating getting there in spots, or like or bewildering, I guess I would say. But like it feels really satisfying when you finally like, oh, that's what happened. That wasn't obvious at all.
What screen are you up to? If you can kind of describe the setup. Are you past the dinner party?
I'm still on the dinner party.
Okay, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Yes.
Yeah. That's I think the first one there. It's like, oh, this is huge.
The other thing that's been tripping me up is like it saves all your progress, but I'm finding you should really try to do each scene in one sitting if you can, because like
remembering
for the reason I just gave, you really need a good mental inventory of everything in the scene, because there might be really subtle information that you didn't realize was relevant.
Yeah,
and if you come back to it the next day and you've forgotten half the stuff in the scene, you kind of really have to go back through everything again.
I do like that. Yes, I do like that they try to break it up, the thinking part of the screen, into components of, okay, figure this whole situation out first, then figure out who these people are, then figure out where they might, let's say, be living, or what they were eating, or whatever you want to do. And then once you figure out all these components, then try and put it together into the Mad Libs. I do like, it's almost like a little notepad. But yeah, like I said last time, at the end, towards my end of it, I was rearranging verbs and words at the bottom of the screen to try and keep track of them. Of like, okay, here's a first and last name that I know go together, but I'm not ready to commit it yet. And I'm just going to put this other thing next to them because I think they were here, but I'm not ready to put it all in. And I was trying to organize it at the bottom of the screen so I could never sort it again because it would break it. But I think that game's a lot of fun. It's great. It's a hoot, let's say.
Yeah.
And I like the music, and I like the tone they have.
Yeah, and it seems like it's really done really well, judging by the number of Steam reviews and how positive they are. I wonder if they would consider like adding on to it. Seems like it'd be a real easy game to just be like, hey, here's another 6 screens. Like, here's another little side story of an offshoot plot line. Like, it would be easy to just iterate on it and add more.
I will say this plot line wraps up very satisfyingly. So yes, but if they could do another in this universe, I don't know how difficult to spin those up are, or if a lot of the front end work was done in the engine for it. But it's cool. Case of the Golden Idol, $18 out on PC only right now. But I really feel like this could make its way to something else. I played more of that Atrio, The Dark Wild. It's that factory game. I've slowed down a little bit in it, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of got me in its little factory grasp and its little factory hooks. I just reached. The reason I really wanted to talk about this today, was I hit a point in that game where it had a thing that is not of consequence, but if you push the button quite a bit, it makes a number go up, and that number has a comedic relevance, let's say. Okay. To the point where it keeps counting, even when you're in the thousands, but gives you new bits of information, let's say every couple of hundred, maybe then every couple of 500, and then every couple of thousand. But you do have to tap the button. I set up a macro on my Steam Link controller.
Great.
And used a rubber band and a die to hold the A button down while I played Call of Duty DMZ with so that I could get, and when I checked back, I had the maximum number of things there. No consequence, but I had probably not done something like that, and it's probably been about 15 years since I used the rubber band on a controller for something to go. I couldn't figure out a way to do it any faster.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, because I did it. Because it's done.
All right.
And what did it cost you?
You defeated the game.
I beat it. I became bestest friends with whatever with the thing I needed to do.
Because this is the game with that kind of Portal-esque, like GLaDOS sense of humor, didn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I could see the payoff maybe being like, oh, maybe it was worth it, maybe not.
So I had completely forgotten about that game until you just brought it up again.
Basically, in one of the things you're interacting with, if you push a button, you earn friendship points, and you start off as like somebody you smile with in the hallway, and like as you push the button at 100, you're like, oh, you told a funny joke, you shared a funny joke with them, and it gets up to like you'd think about inviting them out, and by the end, I was super bestest friends because I had pushed that button so many points. I had gotten all those friendship points.
Huh.
So that's where I left off. It's neat. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. Atrio, the Dark Wild. It's $20. It's on PC. I'm playing it over on the Epic Game Store via Steam. You can import games into Steam. It's one of the ones I tried playing through Moonlight, but I was like, I'm not sure. This is just easier if I just pull this into the Steam link, and it worked. And because it had the controller support built in and the macros and all that stuff. So, and some people have sent me stuff about getting Steam controller to work. I and the 5 other people who still use a Steam controller are looking for that kind of support. It's a great controller. I worry when it breaks. I feel like there's not a good alternative.
No, there's not.
I've got one sitting right here that I've never used.
Don't let it break. Okay. It's gold. I also played a bunch more Vampire Survivors quickly here again. I have now beaten the game, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. That was quick.
Yeah, I've done all the story levels, or quote unquote story. I don't really know what's happening in the game. I have beat all the levels that are getting check marks next to them for that character. And then I went back and I found a thing called like the signpost or something, that makes all the hidden stuff show up on the map. And now I'm trying to go onto the maps. I unlocked the achievements. Does that make sense? In the game, the in-game special achievements, and they're like, go do this thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that. And then I'm back in the first level now, and the game's super duper freaking hard. Like, I can't do this thing that is, I don't know if this makes sense to you guys, but there's basically, to now get things to mutate, I need 2 items to get them to mutate.
Okay.
You've officially made it further than I did at this point, so I'm not sure.
Like to get the what's the clock hand thing called? The Chronos hand, whatever. The thing that slows down time when it zaps an enemy or makes them stop in their tracks. It's like the clock hand thing. It like shoots a beam. No? You guys know. It ticks around the character. And,
I don't know the name of it.
Yeah. Anyway, to upgrade that, I've got to get the left half of something and the right half of something on the first level. And then to make that happen, I've got to power them up, but powering everything up within a half hour without dying is super hard because powering one up makes more enemies come out. And then there's a ring on the top of the level and another ring on the bottom of the level, and to get another thing powered up, that game got hard again. Huh. I don't think I like the game when it's hard. I liked it when it was like,
oh, you like it when it's easy?
I kind of liked it when it was easy.
Okay.
I actually I bought all of the skull things to make the game harder to try and see if I could farm more enemies quickly, because that's the reason to get that thing, that skull, that curse, is so that more enemies would come out. And then I reset it because I was like, I'm not enjoying this. It's too hard again. I don't know what to do. So anyway, that's where I'm at with Vampire Survivors. Okay. Difficulty went up. I guess I should just go and get more characters or something.
You should go get more characters. You should just start getting more weapons and evolutions. I feel like that's a big part of it, is like once you start evolving the weapons and getting like more powerful versions of them, that is huge too.
But I'm trying. It's just, it takes so long to try and
it took me like at least a dozen runs where I felt like I was starting to make real progress in terms of just being able to wipe everything out.
I feel like this is a case of like the real Vampire Survivor starts here, where I kind of breezed through that early part, and now I'm at a part where I really have to think about my time getting over to a weapon versus how much time I'm going to spend farming, because the enemies, if you don't farm, by the time I get the thing I want, I'm going to get overrun.
The thing you want to unlock is the Arcana stuff.
I have 2 or 3 Arcana cards. I got to get more of them.
There are more. There's one that literally pulls all the stage items to you every 2 minutes.
What?
That is a really important one.
Even if they're spawned on the stage at the start?
Well, that's the thing, is that, like, yes, if you use that as your first Arcana in a run, it will pull every stage item directly to you.
Oh my. Okay.
Now, that also includes the ones that have like weird sub-bosses attached to them, so you do have to be a little bit careful.
Do you collect them like as you get them, or they just get closer to you?
Well, though those guys, like once you're near those weapons,
yeah,
the rings and the other thing, they will just start haunting you.
You just run.
You can just run, and if you don't claim the item, I think you can outrun them. Though if you have curse turned up, I think they get a lot more aggressive. I turned my curse all the way up.
Yeah.
Because people were talking like, hey, this is how you
this is the real
get
deal.
more enemies and more gems. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually powerful enough to deal with this. And I am.
You are? Okay.
I am.
See, I'm not. So
no, you're not. You don't want curse all turned up all the way yet for you.
I tried
That's the last one.
I tried like 3 or 4 other characters. And then it's just, I keep going back to the guy with the whip.
There's a better whip guy that comes later.
All right.
There's a werewolf with a whip that's pretty fucking good.
I just probably just have to do some runs. Anyway, Vampire Survivors, it got hard. And then, like I mentioned before, Call of Duty, the DMZ stuff, still playing that. Still trying to flesh out. There's nothing I'm really going for. I'm still doing those faction missions. My third tier of those. I still have a good time in there.
Excuse me, not to put anybody on blast or anything. Are you playing with Drew still?
We just played that one time. And then,
just one. Okay, because I mentioned before, like my normal gaming crew is 4 people, so we can't play DMZ without jettisoning someone. So I need to find somebody.
We should get a crew together.
Every time we have played that, I want to play more of it.
Yeah, we should set up some play dates.
We play some on Friday, and harsh lessons were learned. Let's say
about the chopper.
Because boy, was I feeling good about like, I got that White Lotus intel. We finished this quest I've been trying to do for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Let's just get on this helicopter, and then I finish this quest, and it unlocks a whole new tier of quests, and I can keep playing the game. Boy, those players camping that helicopter extraction point had other ideas.
I'm telling you, you'll do the same thing to other people. I've run up on a helicopter, and you just got to be merciless.
I can't, I guess I can't knock it because I probably would do the same thing.
You would do the same thing. It's tough.
I just got smoked. Before I even had time to realize that guy coming around the corner was not AI, it was a player. I was dead. Not even down and revivable, but straight up dead.
It's
in a split second.
Gotta get those self revives. That's the thing.
Yeah, I passed at least one of those up that you called out during that run.
Gotta have those.
Man, I shouldn't have done that.
Nothing like getting back up after somebody takes you out on the helicopter, and then you self revive on a helicopter while they're turned around, and then take them out is a real rough move in that game. That's Call of Duty DMZ.
Do you know what they get exactly for that? Like, are they benefiting in a tangible way beyond the wicked satisfaction of ruining somebody's run?
If they don't get on the helicopter?
No. If they kill, like camping the spawn and killing players that come in to leave. Like, are they getting like murder tokens or something? Is there actual?
There are dog
benefit?
tags you can get from killing other players.
Okay.
But sometimes they do it because they also want to get on that. They want to extract on that helicopter.
Right.
Sometimes.
What if they just said, "Hey, do you mind if I hitch a ride on your chopper?" It's like, yeah, there's room. Come on, this is a big helicopter.
I'm not sure friendship really has much sway in the world of the DMZ.
I don't know if that'll take off. I don't know.
We got proximity chat. Let's all just work together.
When I first started playing, my brother and I talked about that. I was like, "Are we supposed to like kill these other players? Are we all supposed to get out of here together?" And eventually, we always got killed. It was always a fight at the helicopter, so we just kind of gave up that train of thought of like, oh, I guess you're just supposed to. There was somebody hardcore camping the extraction zone, and there was a pile of bags around it, and we saw it, and we knew it, but we had to get out, and we did not make it out. And that sniper got us in a way that it's always a like kind of like you were saying, Brad. There's always like a kick yourself thing, right? Like, I knew this. We knew this, and we just weren't careful enough.
Yeah, suggestions keep coming in on the Discord for more games like this that I am keeping my eye on. I wish I had the one I have in mind in front of me, which I don't, because Discord mentions search is not great.
Is it that one with the M, like Matador?
No, that was Marauders. That's that sci-fi one I talked about last week. Yeah. But one of the ones that somebody sent me is straight up a single-player overhead, like pixel art game, but still in this vein.
Oh, wow.
What are we calling them? Extraction shooters? Is that the name?
Oh, is that the terminology now?
Is that the genre? Extraction action? I don't know.
I like it. Extraction, but in your mind, you know it's
extraction.
Yeah,
extraction.
Anyway, the point is, like, this type of gameplay is now bleeding into all sorts of formats, you know? Like, I would have thought, oh, this is a first-person multiplayer type of game, but here are single-player games, overhead, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it seems like the go in, fight a bunch of AI in increasingly dangerous circumstances, and get the hell out thing is becoming a thing, and that's pretty awesome because it's fun.
Extraction games are fun. Yeah, I'm always up to play some more. It's fun. I got like a couple more levels, not a couple. I made 10 more levels on my battle pass. Got to do it.
I'm just searching the word extraction on the Discord now to see what I come up with. You know what they reminded me of? Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yep, that's a game.
You want to talk about extraction shooters? The one that says extraction right in the name.
It's a game.
I mean, it's fitting that, you know, the one that spawned the genre ultimately is the one that is forgotten about.
Oh, you're going to get some hate mail for that comment.
What, for extraction?
Spawning the genre.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's probably not accurate, but I feel like it's literally in the title.
It is in the title. What was it called?
Zero Sievert.
What?
On Steam. Sievert? Is that French? The Sievert? I don't know.
Oh, okay, I like it when you say it like that.
Isn't that a measure of radioactivity, I want to say? I think is what that term... Yes, that is one way to measure radiation exposure.
Okay.
Zero Sievert, Sievert on Steam.
Okay.
For $20. I need to try that.
Hey, we got a grab bag coming up this week. If you want to Zero Sievert yourself in a grab bag, I'd like to watch it.
Another one is The Cycle.
Okay.
Which is a free-to-play... It's basically kind of free-to-play sci-fi DMZ.
Okay.
It is a science fiction first-person shooter, but with the same concepts as DMC. That's from Jaeger.
Jaeger.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Makers of Spec Ops: The Line. And one-time developer of Dead Island 2.
Didn't they also make a bunch of games that had the word Jaeger in them?
Possibly.
Not Chuck Yeager's.
No, Chuck has nothing to do with it.
I don't know if that one's good. That one is free to play, so of course it's got the requisite amount of complaining about it attached to it, so I can't say if it's actually good or not. Because when you search for it, it's just a lot of people saying the balance is terrible.
I don't think any of those games are worth anything if there aren't a bunch of people complaining about them.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that DMZ mode is full of bugs.
This is the year of extraction, I'm calling it.
Extraction. You know when we say it, what you envision in your head. The A is capitalized. You just got to remember that. Extraction. All right. Those are the games. Signalis, Case of the Golden Idol, Atrio, The Dark Wilds, Vampire Survivors, Call of Duty DMZ, Zero Sieverts, Civets.
Let's go with it.
Civet, that coffee. You run your coffee bean through a sievert, and when it poops it out. We're gonna take a quick break here again, and we're gonna come back with the news. Stick around. And we're back. And if you want to hear about the news, if you want all the good news out there, well, that ain't today. But if you want the news, sometimes there's good news, and sometimes there's the news we have today. Brad Shoemaker, you've gone and pulled some stories here out in the newsiverse. Not necessarily feel-good news out there, let's say.
It's probably not the year for it.
Not, well... Listen, we're just getting started here. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's this Microsoft story.
The way things are trending, and specifically the way people keep talking. I think this is just going to continue. Microsoft has announced this morning that they will be eliminating about 10,000 positions in the next few months.
That's a lot of positions.
That's like, I think, their second biggest layoff ever.
That's
in their 47-year history, as Nadella pointed out in the statement that he wrote, which is really weird to think that Microsoft is almost 50 years old, but anyway.
Microsoft to me feels like one of those forever companies at this point, like an IBM.
Yes, Microsoft will still exist in some form.
Yeah.
In another 50 years from now.
Well, aside from 10,000 people possibly losing their jobs, any other details to point out on this?
Not really. I mean, well, details that he mentioned, or like what is
what are the takeaways?
There's what he said, and then there's like what's actually going on out there, I guess.
Hmm.
And what's actually going on is that everybody is laying off or about to lay off or talking about layoffs. You know, Facebook made those huge cuts. Was it late last year?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't this year, was it?
No, I don't think it was
I think
this year.
was 2022.
Amazon is doing even bigger layoffs than this right now. Like, people I know at smaller tech companies and not even tech companies are either saying like, hey, we just had layoffs, or like I'm hearing rumblings. Like, it's kind of endemic right now. And that's, I don't know, we've been hearing people say, hey, we're about to be in a recession for so long that it's really just starting to have the feeling of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But here we are.
I mean,
in some of these cases, I think there was also, I mean, at the very least in Amazon's case, I think there was like a massive like overhiring thing that happened with them.
That is absolutely the narrative in tech around all of these. Like, I'm even hearing that from people I know that work at companies like this. The narrative is, hey, all these companies overhired dramatically. Well, okay, the economy did weird stuff during the pandemic because like economic factors were thrown off by everybody being at home all the time and having excess spending money and blah, blah, blah. And all these companies like dramatically increased their headcount in that period, just assuming that growth would last forever because that's what corporations do.
Mm-hmm.
And that did not pan out. The growth has stalled or reversed, and now they are slashing a lot of jobs. That's the narrative. I mean, how valid all of that is, who's to say? But that's kind of the.
It's what they're pushing.
Yeah, that's the stated justification for the most part. And anyway, where this is adjacent to video games is that Jason Schreier of Bloomberg is out there reporting that this will affect the Xbox and Bethesda divisions.
So I think there's more reporting out in the time since we started recording this podcast. They're saying that it is Bethesda Studios, it is 343, it is the Coalition, and possibly some other gaming products.
Oh, wow.
But they have not said it at all, like how many positions from each company.
Right. I didn't expect them to get so granular as to talk about specific studios.
That's already. What the reporting I'm seeing online is. I don't know how much of that has been confirmed yet.
Okay. So yeah, those are like pretty specific cuts to actual development efforts.
It's a big one. That's a lot of people. Obviously, it goes without saying, but maybe we're saying it. You know, hopefully everybody who needs to go find a job finds what they need. You know, that's a lot. 10,000 people is a lot of people. Obviously, that's not all coming from the gaming side, but it is a lot. I hope Microsoft, according to this Verge story, I hope they make good on their kind of statement here of above severance pay for 6 months, continued vesting of stocks for 6 months, which is kind of a big deal if you have it.
The healthcare is a big one.
Yeah.
I hate to give Mark Zuckerberg credit for something, but Facebook's terms with their cuts a couple months ago were relatively generous, and it seems like that's maybe set the tone a little bit.
These companies are not broke.
No, like that's the thing is that yes, they've certainly got plenty of money.
Yeah, there's money. I mean, Microsoft is not like, I guess we won't spend this $68 billion on Activision. I know they're all coming from different pots and different budgets, and it's different capital, but it's still at the end of the day money that these companies have to operate. And so
yeah.
So
six months of healthcare coverage, I believe, is above average quite a bit.
I mean, listen, 6 months goes pretty quickly, especially in a contracted tech market. So
yeah, it's not a good time to be looking for a job necessarily.
But I hope everybody finds what they need to find. My 2 cents is, again, my personal take, not shared by Nextlander or those listening, is that it would make things a lot easier if people didn't have to worry about their health insurance bottoming out for their family or finding themselves in a situation where there's this horrible ticking clock on that kind of thing. So anyway,
we could just say universal healthcare is the official position of Nextlander if you want.
Listen, I don't want to get out there and rope
all
everybody
in favor.
Yeah,
say aye.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's a big one.
Rough, yes.
Possibly more to come depending on what happens in this space, but
yeah, from other companies. It definitely does not seem like the end of this. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a lean year. In fact, Nadella says in his statement they're predicting I forget what adjective he used, but basically a rough 2 years.
You know, I don't know how to read any of these statements anymore because I feel like I've been hearing that for the last 2.5 years, and then see record profits get posted by companies that are like, we're preparing, and then be like, we're actually hiring up because it's been a record breaking year. We're preparing, and not just in the tech sector, across everything, across commodities and across, hey, they're, I feel like the small businesses are really the ones that have been hurt that I've seen, at least anecdotally, and from talking to people that are struggling the most with making up costs. But all these giant companies are raking it in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shareholders need their dividends.
Guess so. Microsoft, and particularly related to what we were talking about here, some of the affected developers within Microsoft. I mean, that's another thing too, just tying this back into consolidation, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing in an economic environment like this. If Microsoft does layoffs, now it affects X to the 10th power of companies because they are under that umbrella. Though maybe that's a good thing because a smaller company might not have the reserves to weather something like that. So I really don't know. Not an economist. Just the me, Vinny.
Yeah. Condolences to everyone losing their jobs, of course. Seems like the winds are blowing in an ill direction on a lot of this stuff. It feels like.
Speaking of some stinky wind, what's coming out of Eve's mouth over at Ubisoft?
This whole thing.
What is happening here?
So there's, we talked, I think, last week about Ubisoft canceling some projects, delaying Skull and Bones again.
Wait, you spit that out of your mouth?
I didn't mean it that way, but that was just the way it came out.
Okay.
But ultimately, there was an email that went out to the company from Yves Guillemot, who more or less put the onus on the employees and developers to hit their targets and make sure that they deliver on what they're supposed to deliver on for their upcoming slate of games. This did not sit well with, I am the worst French pronunciator in the world. Solidaire informatique.
Okay.
That seems reasonable to me.
The French trick is always just leave the last consonant off when you are saying something. But yes, so they are a union that represents, at least in part, Ubisoft Paris. I don't know the vagaries of what kind of union representation exists within French studios versus elsewhere, but they do represent at least part of Ubisoft Paris. And they are straight up calling for a half-day strike from their employees in response to Guillemot's statement.
I can't knock them, honestly.
No.
Come on, man. The buck stops with the management.
So I went back to go look up what Yves said, and I'll just read what he said because it kind of makes more sense when you're like, yeah, that's kind of a really abrasive. 2 paragraphs here that I'll pull from the story. He said, "Today more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure we get back on the path to success. I am also asking that each of you be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives to ensure we're being as efficient and lean as possible." And here's the part where I think is probably the most aggressive. "The biggest pipeline in Ubisoft's history," is what he calls his, Ubisoft has a giant pipeline, right? They're all over the place. "The ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality and show everyone what we are capable of achieving." That's
management's role in this responsibility is conveniently omitted.
Make it work. Even if it's even if he's sending it out to mid-management levels of what were you guys at the CNET pre-CBS before we left for Giant Bomb, the all hands meeting where it was the message literally explicitly was do more with less. Do you remember that all hands?
Vaguely.
It was
that when Neil Ash took over?
It might have been. It was really early on. I remember sitting there And it was just like, so we're basically asking everybody to do more with less. And it was like, what do you...
It's the corporate way.
Like, yes, I'm thankful to have a job. I'm glad to have a job, but like, I don't know if you understand what my relationship is to this company. Like,
and like, hey, just out of curiosity, why is it that we have less to work with all of a sudden? How did we end up in that place?
Or just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I work for you. I don't owe you.
No.
You know?
But this is, I mean, look, the thing here is that Ubisoft has ultimately made some bets that very much did not work, especially with regards to their NFT offerings, which they have not completely backed off from, despite the fact that, none of that stuff seems to really come to fruition in any meaningful way. And that was kind of a weird, expensive, not particularly useful initiative that I'm sure probably did not help the company's bottom line in the grand scheme of things. And they've also had some games that did not perform to the expectations that they had. And, in some of those cases, it's not because the game was bad. Like that Mario and Rabbids game was not a bad game. It just, for some reason, it did not pick up steam the way the first one did. But there have also been projects that it seems like they have just been, if not directionless, then at the very least, like have taken way longer and way more resources to come into their own than probably anyone over there would like. There are people out there who are saying Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still somehow in development. And I think maybe the good question anyone should ask is, fucking why? What are you getting out of this?
Yeah, fair.
Like, this Avatar game will probably do just fine for them, but that thing has also taken longer than they thought it would and did not meet the initial release window, which was supposed to be before or around the time the movie came out.
Yeah, and like some of these problems are kind of built into the model they have with Assassin's Creed, which is to churn those games out as fast as possible because you can't do that forever, right? Like,
yeah,
they are now on their like second reboot in a decade of Assassin's Creed, right?
And it's one of the only things they have that sells consistently.
Right, but they produce them at such a rate that you can't do that forever. Like they they force themselves back to the drawing board by pumping those things out the way they do, and like. That's a tough creative process, right? To remake the thing yet again.
Like, no, okay. Nobody wants to see a company go out of business because they couldn't make a product, but also the people the people who have the most to lose are not the people that are probably messing it up the most. Like they are not making the bets, they are not placing the bets, they are not guiding the direction. And so that's what chafes me, right? Is, you can get rid of 1,000, 10,000 employees, but they probably did not have the directional pull to chart that course, to have affected their own agency in that decision. I don't know. I'm not there. My experience in those situations in big corporate environments is that, markets sway and markets shift, and then a corporation, and I'm not saying this is Ubisoft, this is my experience at like places like CBS, is they will have rallying cries like this, but if you, the employee, go to ask for something, it's not like all of a sudden they're your buddy and they're going to do you a solid, right? It doesn't swing both ways. It's, hey, we all got to get together and like we got to really get through this one. But if you're like, hey, I've been working for you for 10 years. I could really use a little more money. I haven't had a raise. And it's like, oh, let's see what we could do. I don't really know if we're in a hiring freeze for the last 20 years.
That's one of the things they cite in this statement from the union is that like, have salaries kept up with inflation? And the answer is no.
Yeah, first of all, I think we're kind of burying the lead here that the union has really thrown down the gauntlet here with their demands, which include 10% raises across the board and a 4-day work week. They're just like, fuck it. We're going for it.
Might as well ask for the fucking moon. Just why not?
Also, in their statement, this is the best part. The statement's in French. I think this might be Video Games Chronicles translation here. This is in their statement. According to Guillemot, the ball is in our court, but the money stays in his pocket.
I mean,
they're not wrong.
Yeah. Yes.
We know that Guillemot and his family and the people that are in management at that company, obviously there are a lot of fucking problems there. And they, as much as they claim to have cleaned house, the reality is the person who shepherded a lot of those things through and like in the end ultimately protected a lot of people that weren't really causing fucking problems at that company, is still there and still in charge and making demands like this. And if I'm that union, yeah, that does not sit right with me at all. Even if you just take it at the economic face value, yes, they have a right to be pissed off. But when you also roll up the last few years of Ubisoft management into this thing, there's a lot of reason to never, ever trust what the upper tier of that company is doing as long as those people are still in charge.
Who was what was the takeover portion of that story?
It was Vivendi, remember back in the day?
Yeah.
Is that clean and done? Have they made a clean break from that whole situation?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Vivendi is fully divested of video games, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that possible? Is that possible that they could be?
Thought that was the case.
I'm pretty sure they're out of that business entirely.
Okay. And wasn't Eve's brother or something was?
Yeah, I think there's a decent amount of family involvement in the management there, right?
It's a family business, you see.
I see. Yeah, I mean, it's a crappy thing to say.
Yeah,
it's a crappy.
It's extremely tone deaf in the context of where things are at with that company.
Yeah, and especially in an environment where you're going to need people. You're probably going to need people to make it through some tough times, but you're going to have to give on your side too. It's gonna. Caravella thinks the companies might have to give a little on their side too, and not just shave off. But that's what that's what happens with Microsoft. That happens with everybody. They can afford to just cut and rehire and cut and rehire, and that's the problem with big companies. That's a lot of lives affected in that cycle, but it's money on the corporate side. And the manager side. People have to people have to lay people off. That's hard. It's difficult. I've never seen anybody. I've never met the cliche person that enjoys it. It's hard on teams and breaking up teams. So.
That said, I think the days of the Yves Guillemot manic pixie publisher CEO persona are long dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's a little like like a tear, like a tear on the just a perpetual tear on
clown.
Yeah, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's not going to play either, dude.
Yeah.
It's you're out of persona.
Yeah, it's a smile with a pain smile with we're okay. Let's dance.
But Doctor, I am the CEO of Ubisoft.
It took a minute for the phrase manic pixie CEO to fully sink in.
That's the image that dude put out for a long time.
You're not wrong.
You can't be mad at me. I'm so friendly and happy, and we love each other. Yeah,
there's definitely some press conference scene where he gets out to introduce the dancing Let's Dance, and people start booing and throwing tomatoes. What's wrong? Just everybody be happy. Boo.
Everyone used to love this.
Yeah, boo. The trombone guy's just
fucking Hook comes from off stage.
We have another Far Cry. Ubisoft.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Ubisoft. Are they still making movies? Don't they have their whole movie theater initiative thing? Not movie theater, movie studio. Yeah.
Well, they made they co-produced that Prince of Persia movie, and I think maybe something else, but I don't know that they've ever done much else.
They've been in visual effects for a number of years, if that's what you're thinking of.
It might be.
They acquired a visual effects house. Gosh, it's been years now.
Yeah. Did they have Spielberg on stage for something?
Oh, EA used to work with Spielberg ages ago, but he was never on stage for anything. But maybe they had him on at E3.
It was it was when we were at E3. I remember them talking about their big, but maybe it was an effects thing of getting into that stuff. Ubisoft places a lot of bets.
Yes, and some of them have not worked out super well.
Spielberg will show up anywhere. You never know when that guy's going to be on a stage. Could have been. All right, let's move on here to our next story. Oh, boy. This one here, Brad, we talked about High on Life. What's going on with Justin Roiland?
Yeah, hours after we recorded an episode talking about High on Life last week, news came to light that the co-creator of Rick and Morty, in case it needs to be said, is under indictment for 2 felony charges, one of domestic battery with corporal injury, the other false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud, and or deceit. where it gets weird is that apparently he's been under indictment for almost 2 years now. And I certainly am not acquainted enough with the ins and outs of our criminal justice system to understand how this remained quiet for this long. These are not new charges, is the point I'm trying to make. Like, this was a very confusing story to parse when it came out. Because typically you see a story like this and it means like, oh, this person has just been charged. Again, apparently these charges were brought in 2020.
So
I think sorry, go ahead.
I want to say what little I've been able to gather from like when these charges first broke is that there were some reporters that were trying to get some traction with the story when it first came around, but just were having a hard time getting notice of it. And I'm not sure exactly what played into that, but it sounds like there have been people that have at least been on this since the story initially broke. It's just that it never broke the mainstream sphere.
Yeah, it seems like NBC News was the first one to report it. They do say that a lot of the documents pertaining to this case are under seal. So pretty much all of the details about the incident in question beyond those charges I just mentioned are unknown at this time. So maybe that's why. I think there may have been like a hearing last week that might have finally floated this up into the news. I'm not, again, the legal system is weird.
I think part of it is that like they offered him a plea deal and he turned it down. And now that the charges are moving forward, that is probably what made it a much more public thing.
Yeah. Anyway, these are 2 felony counts, and they both, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but they sound pretty fucking serious.
Yeah.
There's also a protective order in place. I don't know if that's different from restraining order or if that's actually the same thing.
I think they're roughly the same. I'm not an expert, but I think they're roughly the same concept.
Yeah, that is in place to protect the person in question.
And the person has not been named at all. It is a Jane Doe in the filings, I believe.
Yes, and he has been ordered to turn over any firearms.
I think that's a thing they make anyone who is under indictment do.
Yes. Again, not a lawyer. That may very much be standard procedure for this kind of protective order. Anyway, some seemingly very serious shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's in California. It's filed in California.
Yes, okay. Orange County, I want to say.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, you know, he's obviously bigger in kind of the animation world than video games, but High on Life was a big release, and
he's the star of it.
Yes, he's the main voice in that, the co-founder of Squanch Games, I believe.
Though it is, and I think we mentioned this offline, it is starting to put the comment I got from one of the developers of Squanch Games in that preview event I went to, where they were very specific to mention that Justin Roiland did not write this game. It is putting it in a slightly different light for me than maybe I had going into that meeting.
Yeah.
And as of this recording, no public comments from Squanch Games?
Not from Squanch, not from Warner, who owns Adult Swim, which is where Rick and Morty airs. Nothing really from anyone. As far as anyone who has a financial stake in Roiland and his various things has not said anything.
And Roiland's lawyers...
They're denying the charges, as is their job. So
right, as is their job. Right. Okay, man.
Talk about sucking all the air out of any enthusiasm I might have ever had to play anything involving that guy again.
I think you just hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, look, we'll see where this court case goes, but between that and I'm going to say straight up, unverified stuff that has come out around these charges, citing people who supposedly had interactions with him, it's painting a rough picture. And, you know, again, I'm not going to cite any of that stuff specifically because none of it is verified, but it does not look good.
Yeah. I mean, this Polygon story flat out mentions, just to be clear, he faces several years in prison if he is convicted on these charges.
Yeah.
Like, this is serious shit.
Yeah, obviously this will play out, and these are indictments, not convictions. But man, that's sucking the air out of it. That's exactly.
You know, I might not finish High on Life.
I definitely won't.
It's done for me. I've moved on. I mean, I finished it, but also
I know. We talked about this last week. You finished it,
but also I'm done.
Yeah.
So. Finally,
not going back for that new game plus, huh?
No. You know, for a variety of reasons, I didn't need another one, really.
Fair enough.
Okay. Finally here, Brad, you've pulled the or rewind to a simpler time, to let's say the early 2000s, late 90s. Brad, you pulled the NPD numbers.
Hey, here's some sales figures. Actually, it's not even figures; it's just a ranking.
What do we got, Brad?
NPD put out the top 10 highest selling games in the United States of 2022. I thought we could just run through the list and see where things are at. What do you say?
Yeah, let's see where things are at. What is it? Okay, for clarity, we're including digital here? What do we need? Do we need
There's
to do any caveats?
There's a lot of asterisks.
Generally physical and digital, but like they don't have digital numbers for Nintendo. As a matter of course, for example, this says they don't have digital numbers for the Xbox or Switch versions of MLB The Show 2020 or 22.
Okay,
but I would assume they do have them for the PlayStation version.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
So some caveats, but it's the best we're gonna do.
Want to start from the bottom and work your way up?
Never. Sure.
Yeah,
sure. All right. Well, the aforementioned MLB The Show 22 is at number 10. Horizon Forbidden West,
number 9. Single
Pokemon,
platform. Yep.
Yeah. Pokemon Legends Arceus. FIFA 23. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I assume those two SKUs are rolled up into one here. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Dang.
God of War Ragnarok.
Again, single platform for that. I mean, Pokemon stuff too, but
yeah.
Madden NFL 23. Elden Ring. And Call of Duty and Modern Warfare the second.
I feel like Elden Ring getting to leapfrog over Madden is a pretty significant one.
That's a pretty big deal.
Madden's a hard one to beat in the US.
I was reminded looking at this stuff that earlier last year, NPD had originally predicted Elden Ring would be number 1 for last year.
You know what's not in this best selling are the margins. Maybe Call of Duty just beat it by like 50 cents.
That's the thing. I mean, it's hard to say. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because again, this data is also full of holes
we've
by nature.
You know, we have heard repeatedly that Modern Warfare 2 launch was like surprisingly strong. But the fact that a From Software game was even in the conversation to be the highest selling game of the year is still kind of mind-blowing.
Yes, Bandai Namco looking at this list is definitely taking a screenshot and being like, look, we're up there with EA and Activision and Nintendo and Sony. That's pretty big. I mean, Elden Ring's very good.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of expectations it creates around From Software, because like my gut feeling is that every From release is not going to be Elden Ring.
How did Bloodborne do?
I think it did very well, but I'm talking about the scope of the game, though.
Yeah,
Elden Ring is on a scale that is different from their previous games.
Yeah. They're not going to be able to churn these out on a yearly basis.
Yeah. I don't know if something on the scale of Elden Ring is something they can produce every time. Like I'm assuming Armored Core is going to be a little more focused and a little more Armored Core-ish.
I would think so.
Who can say? But anyway, I mean, they are absolutely a first name basis, household name, et cetera, at this point, which is cool. At the same time, though, it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3 of these are sports games. 2 of them are Pokemon. One of them is Call of Duty.
Yes.
What is that, 6?
And then there's 2 PlayStation exclusives as
well. So the ones I just rattled off are like, yes, of course those are in the top 10. Of course they are. They've always been in the top 10.
So who are your outliers?
I would almost put Lego Star Wars in that category of like, of course that's in the top 10. Lego games and Star Wars. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, that's some brand recognition for sure.
Oh, I mean, that game was pretty good, to be fair. Like,
it wasn't bad at all.
I played more of Lego Star Wars than I expected to last year. There was a lot in there. But yeah, there's not a lot that, besides Elden Ring, there's not a lot that's surprising on here, really.
No, I mean,
I'm kind of surprised to see Horizon make the top 10, but not super surprised, but maybe a little.
I'm actually surprised to see Horizon so far down on the list. God of War, I would think, would be up in there in the top 5. I thought Horizon would be a little above some of these other ones, but maybe it just didn't hit as well.
I mean, it sure makes you realize why Sony keeps making the types of first-party games they do.
For sure.
When I mean, those are single-player games on a single console, slowly starting to come to PC, but not these two in this case. So, like, you know, for games in that situation that aren't Pokemon to make it on this list, it's pretty impressive.
Like, no Microsoft-owned games on here.
Well, no, but they barely put anything out last year.
Yeah, I mean, like, Tenement was not going to make that list.
Yeah, and Grounded, like that was kind of
maybe
think of anything else.
Yeah, maybe
they shipped last year, and also anything they put out, people are playing on Game Pass, so like that barely even factors in here.
Yeah, you're right. It does kind of muddy the waters even more here. On like you could put out, there could be a free to play game that is making more money than any of these games on here. That's what Microsoft even says, right? Yeah, Call of Duty is a fantastic game, but we want Candy Crush. Is it Candy Crush that they want? Is it King?
Yeah,
they
King
want
is
King.
Candy Crush. Yeah.
And Sony's like, look at Call of Duty, and they're like, yeah, Call of Duty's great, but like what we really want is this. But certainly doesn't hurt Sony's case when you show them a list like this and be like, I told you, look at Call of Duty. It's still they're gonna lock it up.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft, oh, well, never. I would never. Look at me. Would I do that?
I saw some survey data going around. I wish I could source this. Maybe shitty to spout this without actually being able to point to the source, but some survey data that was showing that there's a pretty big margin, more number of players who identify the PS5 as their primary console over the Xbox. It was like, I think it was like high 60% to like 48% or something like that. So.
Was that in the System Wars forum of GameSpot?
Yes, that came from the GameSpot System Wars forum. It was a poll. It was a sticky poll.
It was a sticky poll. Yeah. Are you a sheep, a turtle, a llama?
Hang on. It was sheep, cows, hermits, and what was the other one?
What's a Nintendo player? Did they have one?
I can't remember.
Hermits were PC.
Yeah. Hermits were PC players. I remember that.
Cows, I think, were Xbox.
I thought sheep were Xbox. Or sheep.
I think the
Nintendo?
sheep might have been Nintendo.
Oh, okay. Oh, boy.
God, what was the last one?
For anyone who doesn't know, that was the System Wars forum on GameSpot that basically was the demilitarized zone of the forums where everyone could just go be an ad. I don't even know if they still have forums.
Okay.
They do.
I believe you, but I don't know.
System Wars is judging by this one of the higher trafficked forums.
That's really unfortunate.
Still here.
Some things will just never change.
I don't know that I can find the System Wars explainer to tell you what the last of the 4 categories was.
Alex Navarro, ready? Informal snap poll. Alex Navarro, name, if I gave you a game, I'm going to try and phrase this in a way that doesn't feel like push polling or has as least bias as possible. If I gave you a game, don't worry about the game. What platform would you want it on? You have to choose one. It's a multiplayer. It has multiplayer in it. Let's say that.
That's the thing. I really don't care. Like anything but Switch one. At this point.
Anything but Switch.
No, I don't mean that if there's a Nintendo game on the Switch or an indie game on the Switch, that's fine. But like if it's a big AAA thing, I generally don't want to play that on the Switch. That's it.
Okay, it's a third person. See, this is where I fall. It's a third person action adventure game. Would you rather have it on a console than a PC?
Probably. Because I prefer to play things on my TV more than anything else. So, but honestly, PS5 and Series X are a complete toss up for me.
Okay. Do you feel the same, Brad?
Since I put that extra storage in my PS5, I'm definitely more likely to go there.
Do you go by friends list anymore, or everybody's
almost never.
All right,
almost never. I mean, just about everybody I know is going to be able to play on either one. There's also the crapshoot, especially for us getting games pre-release, like which one's going to run better. Mm-hmm. Which one is, the Digital Foundry analysis is not usually out by then.
Right.
So like there's that aspect of it as well.
But generally,
I was 100% PS4 last generation. Like, give me everything on PS4 is where I was at last generation. But yeah, it was 100% 360, and then it was 100% PS4, and now it's like either one is basically fine.
I'm kind of on an either one is fine too, though. I do play mostly on my PlayStation, or will buy multiplayer games there because that's what my brothers have. So, but Game Pass. And also Quick Resume, which works very well on the Xbox Series X, are big reasons why I might prefer to play on an Xbox.
Quick Resume is quietly huge. The only thing for me, did you guys get it losing your Quick Resume sessions here and there?
Sometimes.
I always attribute that to my kids playing the Xbox and canceling out of they can only have so many going. They'll play the same game on a different profile, and it'll say you're going to lose this Quick Resume.
Interesting. I tend to only have like maybe 2 games at a time in that state, and they still occasionally the session will just vanish.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Unexpectedly.
I haven't had that too much. But yeah, I mean I like the PS5 controller. But I also really like the Xbox controller. I mean, it's I don't know, like the haptic. What do they call them? The resistive triggers on the PS5?
Yeah, like resistive triggers and the
it's like not.
I'm
kind of over it.
I like that stuff. It just doesn't feel like it's lived up to the promise yet.
It was very impressive at launch. As unsurprisingly, the game they made as a tech demo for those features showcased them extremely well, and then most games have not lived up to that. I actually turned the intensity of the triggers down.
You did in the like system.
Yeah.
I like the voice stuff that's in the PS5. The party chat stuff has actually come a ways. It's still a little confusing with its groups and parties, but I've kind of gotten used to it. I don't know. They're both fun. And then on the PC, the PC's where I go to play pretty much everything else that is, coming out. Like big third-person games, I'm over on the console. First-person stuff, I'm usually want a mouse and a keyboard. Where I fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for Call of Duty. I'm playing that on the PlayStation.
I can tell you I will not be playing Forspoken on the PC.
No, you don't. You haven't taped 4090s together?
I can't. Well, I mean, I could, but I don't think it would be a great experience looking at those hardware requirements.
When you played it, Alex, where were you playing it on? PS5?
When I was playing Forspoken, it was on PS5.
Yeah, PS5, okay.
I think we're in it.
Yeah?
Like, Returnal and Forspoken both have pretty stiff hardware requirements. I think it's probably time to be thinking about upgrades.
We've been thinking about it.
For a lot of people. I'm not talking about for me. I mean, generally, like it's just the new baseline is kind of rapidly being raised.
I just need what is the normalized video card market at this point? Are we ever going to get sub $500 on a video card that is?
I don't know.
What I would want.
It depends on what you want.
Well, I want.
There are cheap cards, but but
you know what I want.
Increasingly, if you want like fast ray tracing and stuff, you need to go way higher than that.
I used to be able to dabble in not the highest, but the second highest tier with maybe a little bit of extended memory on the card, and feel like $400 to $500 was my ceiling, right?
Those days are long gone.
All right, well,
like that's I don't think that's coming back, unfortunately.
Is it kind of like cell phones? Cell phones will just be over $1,000 for most people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to the world.
The price creep on a lot of that stuff has been extremely real over the last decade.
That's a lot. Can you still get them in pre-built machines cheaper?
Yeah, I think you're generally, you're not paying a big markup there, or you're paying standard markup on a pre-built.
Yeah,
but it's not like they're gouging you on because I assume they're getting the cards straight from suppliers.
Right. So where you might have to pay $2,000 on some secondary store, your PC might just be $2,500.
I think that's still the case. I mean, you're starting to see like some 40 series cards sitting there at retail for a little bit now and stuff.
How are the I almost said ATI. How are those AMD cards?
Yeah, AMD. I still think of it as ATI a lot of the time.
I think are their prices coming down?
I haven't followed. Price is the last thing anybody's talking about there because there's a whole kerfuffle about defective vapor chambers that they shipped.
Wait, we're still using that term? I thought that was just Microsoft's.
No, that's a thing.
Okay.
There's a bunch of defective 7900 XTXs out there.
Oh boy, they're leaking vapor?
They shipped without enough vapor, apparently, is the official reason.
And you can't just blow some smoke in there?
Nope.
Oh boy. Well,
PCs. 16 gig of RAM is not enough anymore. Like that's the big takeaway to me is that we finally got there. Returnal and Forspoken both recommend more than that. Finally,
minimum or like recommended?
I believe they're both 16 minimum. I'd have to check, but Forspoken recommends 24 for 1440p and 32 for 4K.
And what is the reference card would be for like the new generation of 4000s, or is it coming with 24 or 16?
Oh no, I'm talking about system RAM.
Oh, system RAM.
Not on the card.
Yeah.
Not on the card.
Okay, good. I was going to say that sounds like a lot of RAM on a card, but they are up there, aren't they? Aren't video cards up in the 12s now?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the 40 series again to remember. I think it might be 16 gig on the 4080.
Okay. Oh, you're talking PC stuff. Yeah, on my PC builds, I feel like I've been 16's my minimum, and like if depending on the price of RAM when I'm building the machine, I will just go for the extra 32. But always felt like it was overkill, but maybe it's not overkill anymore.
We're past due. I mean, I put 16 gig in a system 7 years ago.
Yeah,
Like, it's been a long time. I think it's just mainly the length of the last console generation meant that we were just kind of on the same stuff for a long time, but we're here now.
Have you ever mixed recently? I don't know why this is occurring to me, because I have all this stuff. Odd sizes of RAM.
Super not worth it. Like,
not worth it.
You can try, and you can probably make it work if it's stable, but like if
no, I'm not talking pair. I'm talking odd size pair. I'm not talking pairing with a different size. So you put like one in slot 1 and 3, you put your matching 16s, and then let's say in 2 and 4, you put your matching 8s.
You can do it,
but
depending on the board, you're possibly asking for trouble.
One of these boards I have has 3 RAM slots, and I thought that was really funny.
A what?
Yeah, it's the older one. It was one of those older ones.
I just mixed 2 kits of 8.
Okay.
That are the same model number
and same timings,
the same Corsair part number. I don't remember if like the cast latency was exactly the same, but even that was not stable. Like two pairs of 8 gigs, so 32 gig total. Bought like 2 years apart, same model number, same everything. Extremely unstable until I did a lot of BIOS work.
Okay. Wow.
To find timings and stuff that would get that machine to boot.
What are the BIOS read things called? SPD? What's the when they could read the timings off the chip?
Yeah, SPD.
So
yeah, like looking at a bunch of weird sub timings. I apologize to anybody whose eyes are glazing over. Like, it was interesting though. Those memory kits ostensibly were the same, but yeah,
interesting.
Like even the same. I think it's Samsung made the ICs on those things or whatever. But like looking at a bunch of the sub timings in the BIOS between those kits, those timings were very different. So yeah. Usually better to just buy new RAM for stability's sake.
RAM wasn't as cheap as I thought it was going to be. It seems like we're in like a middle ground.
DDR4 had gotten very cheap, but now you're in the DDR5 transition, and that's not so cheap.
Not so cheap. All right, that's going to do it for the news. Again, if you're affected by layoffs, best of luck to you out there in the world. We have an email address. It is podcast@nextlander.com. Podcast@nextlander.com. How is the podcast well looking this week, Brad?
Oh, I've got some stuff here I can read. Here's one that is topical from Trent in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Sioux Falls, one of my favorite falls.
I have a simple question. How is it that we are now 2 years into the life of the Xbox Series X and S, and we still have only one company, Seagate, making the storage expansion cards? For the PS5, there are almost too many options for storage upgrades since they use off-the-shelf components used in modern PCs, and they are forced to be competitive on price. I understand the convenience of only having one option and having it be plug and play is more appealing to the mass market, but a 2 terabyte Xbox card is still over $100 more expensive than a name brand SSD for the PS5. Will we eventually see more manufacturers enter the market for these proprietary cards? Or would Microsoft help subsidize a price drop on the Seagate cards? Yeah, that sucks. Like,
yes.
Straight up, that sucks ass. And I will cop to saying when those things came out, because at the time, and this is over 2 years ago now, I want to say the Xbox cards were at least competitive, if not cheaper, than the comparable off-the-shelf card or SSDs you could get for the PS5 at the time. And I was all very optimistically just like, yeah, that'll just be on Microsoft to make sure that their proprietary prices stay competitive with the market. And boy, have they not done that.
Yeah.
Are we back in like Xbox 360 hard drive land where you have to buy their
special hard drive?
Their special hard drive?
Well, I mean, yes, in the sense that you have to buy their stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they're the only ones making it
there too.
But oh my God, is this for real? Is this MSRP? Best Buy has the 2 terabyte Xbox card for $400.
That's very expensive.
That may not be you may be able to get that elsewhere cheaper. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe they're out of stock.
Okay, yeah. Target's got it for $360. $360 is what I had seen when I had been looking around recently.
Yeah, that's still ridiculous.
That's still ludicrous compared to what comparable SSDs are falling to that work in the PS5.
Like, the thing I really do appreciate is they did just straight up build a slot that you plug a thing into. Like, that is a very good user-friendly way to go about that stuff. But yes, the way they have sort of said, hey, here's exactly one kind of hard drive you can get and it's too much money, that sucks ass.
It's a real bummer that they have not kept pace with that stuff. And like, I'll admit, I mean, I think anybody can install an SSD in the PS5, but also even as someone who is extremely comfortable working inside PCs, like it's not painless.
No.
Like, there's a little bit of guesswork and fiddly business there, and the Xbox experience is just shove a card in a slot.
Are there bridge adapters that third parties are selling, like on Alibaba or something, that you can put an M2 drive in?
There was some speculation early on that would be possible. I don't know if anybody's actually managed to make that happen.
You're gonna get your Xbox Live account banned if you...
That is exactly the kind of gray market shit I would be into if that were a possibility.
Yeah.
I extremely did the Xbox 360 mod of just busting open the enclosure and putting my own drive in there, and you had to do the whatever, whatever weird stuff there was involved with signing,
didn't you, or
signing the drive. Blessing drives was for TiVos, but same concept.
Okay.
Of having to run some utility to like sign the drive in a way that the Xbox would read.
That's very expensive. Yes, that sucks. Like that, those prices have come down, and it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Hang on, you've got me. You've got me Googling.
This is how Brad gets his Xbox bricked.
I will repeat. I will report back to you.
Okay. We'll come back on this one.
I will do some research here.
Brad, do you have any more emails?
I do. I need a second to find one if you can.
Yes. Alex, are you do you feel like your Xbox is full?
I have had to delete some stuff and shift some things around, but though I will say the offenness of how often I have to delete stuff is far less frequent than the PS5, and I still need to put that hard drive in that PS5.
What? You haven't put it in yet? Oh, goodness.
Wait, what?
Just put it in. You gotta stick it in there.
Why are you surprised? I have to sit down and plan out when I'm going to do that, and I haven't had time yet.
I think you're going to be shocked at how quick it's done.
Nothing. I have never done anything technical quickly.
It's okay. It's not like, oh my god, why haven't you done it? It's more when I get something like that, there literally everything stops until I put it in. Like I drop what I'm doing, pull it out of the envelope, and immediately go install it.
Watch a YouTube video. I think the thing for me that was the most nerve-wracking was, I think you mentioned this, Brad, for a different reason, was just, am I going to break the tabs off of the shell of my PlayStation enclosure? After that, I stand mine vertically, so I had to take the base off as well.
Oh no.
Stop it. Stop.
What?
I don't want to hear about this vertical PlayStation nonsense.
Did you see that stuff?
I saw some floating around. I just ignored it.
It's also apparently wrong.
Yeah.
It seems, well, no, it's not wrong. It's just extremely overblown.
Yeah.
Like it is almost certainly not going to be a problem widely, but there is some very minor evidence that the liquid metal we don't need to get into it.
Liquid metal, vapor chambers. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah. Hey man, hardware got complicated and hot.
Mm-hmm.
Sure did.
But anyway,
you can't stick anything on top of that thing. I'm gonna eat up a whole. I don't have a shelf for it. It's too big.
You put stuff on top of your console?
I put stuff on top of that Xbox. That Xbox wants stuff on top of it. It's basically a shelf.
The Series X is a shelf unto itself.
Yeah, put the Switch on top of it.
You're not wrong. That is actually a pretty good use of space. All right, Travis and Fargo. I have to give Travis and Fargo credit. He has clearly been studying at the Nathan from Tumwater Institute of how to get your email read on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Same format, same brevity, just quick, easy question, person from place, done, out.
What do you got?
You guys think there's anything out there?
No.
Yes. Vinny says yes.
Wow.
Alex says
Immediate disagreement.
I'm being facetious. Yeah, no, there's stuff out there. We're just never going to see it.
Okay, that I can get behind.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Yeah. A brief question invites a brief answer, I see.
I believe yes, and I'm kind of with Alex on the chances of running into it are probably infinitesimal in our lifetime. Let's say infinitesimal maybe in a galactic span, but it's too big. It's too big. The same reason why I think there's stuff out there is the same reason why colliding with it probably won't happen.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think they're actively avoiding us.
I would.
Can you blame them?
No, not hardly.
Or I said, what's I don't forget the scientific, the school of thought, Brad, you might remember, but if we did, it would be bad for us, is generally.
It would not be good.
Yeah, if we ever encountered somebody who could travel to us, it would be bad.
Oh, you're one of those types.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
There is that whole school of thought that any alien civilization encountered should be eradicated as fast as possible.
That's kind of how. Well, if they have the technology to get to us from something we can't detect yet, then they are probably coming for not good reasons.
Yeah,
like
they're not here to be our
or
friends.
Yeah. Like that's my thought. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm pushing too much of my humanity onto.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think you are.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All right. 2 for Travis and Fargo. This is a separate email from a different day. Sorry, actually, I've still got the other one up. Let me find it. Okay, I have lost it. Give me just a second.
No worries. Yeah.
Too many labels. Too many labels in
the world. I'm with you.
Let's get rid of them.
Okay.
Get rid of them.
Can vehicles be haunted?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Anything. If anything can be haunted, then certainly a vehicle can.
Yeah. We were talking about maybe watching the movie Christine. There you go.
Yeah,
Evidence.
that's a documentary.
Documentary. Yep.
I think I'm pretty sure the mid-90s Ford Taurus station wagon on which I learned to drive was haunted.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this just recently. Telly Savalas' ghost story about a
ghost
haunted
motorist.
Yep. It's all out there.
A ghosterist.
Yes.
Playing an extraction game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you watch that Telly Savalas video?
I definitely watched it.
Good. I have not watched it yet.
You must watch this.
He's a good storyteller.
I will watch it. Maybe we should watch it live.
Okay.
He starts off by saying, You want to hear this story? And the guy goes, yeah. Then all right, then I'll tell it to you.
Huh. Which interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard Telly Savalas speak before.
Once he's smooth, man. There's a reason he's so smooth.
with a name and a head like that, how could you not be?
Who ghosts you, baby?
Wait, is he that guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's the Who Loves You, Baby guy.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, man. Maybe I need more Telly Savalas in my life.
We all do.
We had a legitimate Nathan from Tumwater question.
Give it to me.
This is a pretty big question. Hey, do you have any recipes for some tasty food?
Oh, I do not.
Okay, let me come back to him on that one.
Yeah, that one, yes. That one needs some prep.
Okay. I like
There's
the
your
setup.
homework.
Yeah, okay. Oh, recipe for some tasty food.
I'm going to go look up gray market adapters for Xbox storage.
Yes.
You guys get some recipes together. I'll bring my mom's broccoli casserole.
Okay.
We're definitely not going to remember to bring recipes.
No, absolutely not. This will be forgotten 5 minutes after we're done here.
Yes. Some pasta, some broth, and some Parmesan cheese. And you cook the pasta in the broth and put some Parmesan cheese on it. That's it. That's all you need.
Last question here. It's from Razgriz2 of Discord fame. Is Vampire Survivors a Muso game? Alex and I both have been on the Muso beat.
Yes.
The Dynasty Warriors beat.
We have.
At various times.
I think it's closer to one than it isn't.
Oh gosh, man. I think you're right. I think you're probably right.
Whether it is explicitly of that genre, it at least shares some DNA.
Dynasty Vampires. Could you make a game called Dynasty Vampires? Is that legally
I'm
distinct
already
enough?
making it in my
it's
mind.
Called Vampire Survivors. Vampire Warriors is also very close. Very close.
True.
All right. That is going to do it. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks for the emails. Again, you can send them into podcast@nextlander.com. I want to thank everybody for joining and supporting us throughout our podcasting careers, and especially over here at Nextlander. Couldn't do it without you. We definitely appreciate it. You can check out all of our extracurricular, our extra goodies over at patreon.com/Nextlander. You can find things like Never Been a Better Podcast. You can find things like the Ramblecast. There's a video version of it. There's the audio there. You can get a week ahead early on the Watchcast if that's what you're after. Keep ahead on the Watchcast over there. You can find the Watchcast over on the public feed too, if that's what you're looking for. There is one tier there over on the Patreon that gets their names read on this here show, and I am honored to read those names to you today. Starting with RRE, John Richardson, Vornak, Kelly F., James Smith, Ryan Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Brad's Midsize Voodoo Doodoo, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, JM, Jerry Lee, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, #Bunny Crimes, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Razgriz Dota 2, Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R, Kevin Vallado, Randy Duax, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. Those are your mysterious benefactors for this week. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us. Thanks to our mysterious benefactors. Thanks to everybody who watches us over on Twitch, YouTube, hollers at us over on the Discord, game recommendations, is an awesome community member. Thanks to our awesome mods. Remember, be nice over on that Discord. Have good conversations there.
Cool zone only.
I like going in there. Don't pee in the pool.
Be kind, rewind.
That's right. Before you hit enter, rewind that thought you were just going to post in there and think about it just a second more. No, I love that community in there. Be cool, everybody. That's going to do it for this week's show. What do we got going on coming up or having passed recently? If you missed it, I can't recommend it enough because I'm looking forward to the next installment, but we did a Breakout 13 2 parts. We finished it up last week. You can go check that out. That is up now.
Shocking twist ending.
An ending you won't believe. You can find out what number I am on the egg leaderboard. We also played a bunch of Blade games this week. Well, let's say at least 2 Blade games on Monday. All two of them, the Blade games. We got a grab bag coming up this Thursday, and we have a Friday fun stream that we have. We'll see for what pans out, but it is on Friday at 1 o'clock. Grab bag stream will be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Again, Watchcast, Ramblecast, last week's Never Been a Better Podcast, all the casts. They're all out there, ready for you. Alex Navarro, you're doing some stuff with Abby. If you want to go check that,
as soon as we're done here, I'm going to be doing some stuff with Abby.
You can go check that out over on Abby's channel. She playing Nancy Drew?
I believe she is, yes.
Awesome. Brad Schumacher. I'm just going to go. I'm trying to get the real pronunciation here.
Going German.
Schumacher. Brad Shoemaker, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alex Navarro, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.